Hello, class. I know that we're starting adjusting entries, but I wanted to do a review on journal entries. I guess more than a review, I kind of slow down this week anyway so that you can get a lot of practice. So I've pulled up the homework assignment from last week, and we're just going to walk through each one of the entries for this homework assignment. So I'm just here on problem 2-1A, and your numbers will be different, but I'm going to go ahead and actually use a tablet to kind of write down the information so that we can kind of work through it together. So here's the first journal entry that we have to do. Tanner invested $135,000 cash, along with office equipment valued at $32,400. In the company in exchange for common stock. Okay, so the first question that we have is, do you remember? What accounts are affected? So the two accounts that are affected, actually we have three, is we have cash, we have equipment, and we have common stock. All right, so did cash increase or decrease? Okay, the company now has 135,000 more, so cash increased. Did equipment increase or decrease? It increased because he donated equipment to the company. What about common stock? Did common stock increase or decrease? It also increased because remember, when we sell common stock, we're increasing equity, so we've actually increased common stock. Sorry, I forgot to pull up my calculator. I'm going to need a calculator for this. What type of account is cash? It's an asset. What type of account is equipment? It's also an asset. And then for common stock, because we're looking at journal entries, I'm going to put it's part of equity, but it's also common stock, because remember, the different parts of equity behave differently. All right, now you're going to go look at your resource sheet. If I increase an asset, do I debit it or credit it? Debit, yep. If I increase an asset, do I debit it or credit it? Okay, we just did that. If I increase common stock, do I debit it or credit it? Credit. All right, so now we're ready to do the journal entry. So for our journal entry, we're going to debit cash. And he gave 135,000. We're going to debit equipment for 32,400. And we have common stock for 167,400. All right, does that look right? I'm gonna say check my work. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because I have to wait till I do all of them. That's okay. All good. We're not gonna look at the other requirements right now. We're going to go back to the question. And we're going to go to the next journal entry. So down here, we'll say view transaction list. All right, we're going to the next one. The company prepaid $7,200 cash for 12 months rent for office space. Okay, what happened? So the company paid $7,200. So we wrote a check for $7,200 for rent. Have we incurred any rent expense yet? No. What do we have to do to incur rent expense? Yeah, we have to spend time in the building, which we haven't done yet. We paid this in advance. So what two accounts are affected? So one is cash because we know we've spent cash. And what's it called when we prepay something? In this case, right, it's going to be prepaid rent. All right, did cash increase or decrease? It decreased because we spent it. Did prepaid rent increase or decrease? It increased because now we have more there that we can use. What type of account is cash? It's an asset. What type of account is prepaid rent? That's a tricky one. It's also an asset because we have a future benefit. Either we're going to want our money back or we're going to get to rent the facility. We're going to get that time in the facility. So that's actually an asset. Okay, now go to your resource sheet. If I decrease an asset, do I debit it or credit it? Credit. If I increase an asset, do I debit it or credit it? So I'm going to debit prepaid rent and credit cash. So we will debit prepaid rent for $7,200 and we will credit cash for $7,200. I seem to be frozen for a second here. There we go, 7,200. Wonderful. All right, let's just go back into it. I apologize. Now my numbers will be different. That's weird, I've never had that happen before. Ha, that one stayed the same. All right, so we have prepaid rent for $7,200. You're gonna be kidding me. Okay, let's try and skip this question. Wow, if any of you are having trouble with this with your homework, I'd be interested in hearing it. All right, question number 3. The company made credit purchases for $11,400 in office equipment and $2,280 in office supplies, and payment is due within 10 days. So what happened? So we went to the office supply store. We came back with $11,400 worth of equipment, like maybe we bought printers or computers, and $2,280 in office supplies, like paper and pens and folders. And have we paid any cash yet? No, we're gonna pay them within 10 days. So they're gonna invoice us. So what 3 accounts are affected? So we have office equipment, we have supplies, and then what's that third one when they're gonna invoice us? Accounts payable. Okay, did the office equipment increase or decrease? Yep, it increased. We came back with more equipment. Did supplies increase or decrease? It also increased. What about accounts payable? Do we owe more or less now? Accounts payable also increased. What type of account is office equipment? It's an asset. You are right. What type of account is supplies? Also an asset. What type of account is accounts payable? We owe something. It's a liability. All right, now go to your resource sheet. If I increase an asset, do I debit it or credit it? If I increase an asset, I'm going to debit it. If I increase an asset, I'm going to debit it. If I increase a liability, am I going to debit it or credit it? I'm going to credit it. So we're going to debit, I'll just do it this way, office equipment for $11,400. We're going to debit supplies for $2,280, and we're going to credit accounts payable. Oopsie, got ahead of myself there. We're going to credit accounts payable for $2,280 plus $11,400 for $13,680. And there's our journal entry. All right, let's look at number 4. Okay, so we completed services for a client and immediately received $2,000. We completed services for a client and immediately received $2,000. Have we earned any revenue? Yes, because we provided the service, so we've earned revenue. What is the other account? So we have service revenue, and the other account is cash because they gave us the money right away. Did service revenue increase or decrease? Right, we have more revenue now than we did before. What about cash? Did cash increase or decrease? Yeah, it also increased because they gave us a check. What type of account is service revenue? So I'm going to put two things. I'm going to put revenue and also equity because when you look at your resource sheet, it's important to know it's revenue. What type of account is cash? It's an asset. Okay, look at your resource sheet. If I increase revenue, do I debit it or credit it? If I increase revenue, I credit it. If I increase an asset, do I debit it or credit it? If I increase an asset, I debit it. So I'm going to debit cash for $2,000, and I'm going to credit service revenue for $2,000. And that's our journal entry. Number 5. Okay, so the company collected $7,600. The company completed a $7,600 project for a client who must pay within 30 days. Okay, so we completed a project that's worth $7,600. Have we received any cash yet? No, we're going to invoice them. Have we earned any revenue? Yes, we earned revenue even though we didn't get the cash, because remember, we earn revenue by providing the service. We provided the service. It doesn't matter that we haven't been paid yet. We still earned the revenue. So we have service revenue, and they haven't paid us cash. So what's that other account? If they're going to pay us later, what's that account? Accounts receivable. Perfect. Did service revenue increase or decrease? It increased. Did accounts receivable increase or decrease? It also increased. What type of account is service revenue? We'll say it's revenue and equity. What type of account is accounts receivable? It's an asset. Okay, go to your resource sheet. If I increase revenue, do I debit it or credit it? I credit it. If I increase an asset, do I debit it or credit it? If I increase an asset, I debit it. So I'm going to debit accounts receivable for $7,600, and I'm going to credit service revenue for $7,600. All right, we're going to do one more because I don't want the video to get too long. We can always come back and do another one. The company paid $13,680 cash to settle the account payable created on April 1st. So we paid for the equipment and the supplies that we bought. Remember, we bought the equipment and supplies and we're going to pay them within 10 days. Now we're paying them. So what two accounts are affected? So one of them is cash because we paid it. What's the other account? The other account is accounts payable because we recorded the equipment and the supplies when we brought them to the office. Now we're just recording paying off that liability. Did cash increase or decrease? Yep, cash decreased, we spent it. Did accounts payable increase or decrease? Do we owe more now or less? Yeah, it decreased because we paid it off. What type of account is cash? An asset. What type of account is accounts payable? A liability. If I decrease an asset, do I debit it or credit it? If I decrease an asset, I credit it. If I decrease a liability, do I debit it or credit it? If I decrease a liability, I debit it. So I'm going to debit accounts payable for $13,680, and I'm going to credit cash for $13,680. Okay, I hope this is helping. I hope you're getting the hang of it. If you're struggling, please call me. I will post another video this evening or tomorrow going over the last 6 of these transactions before we get into the adjusting entries. Have a fantastic evening.